you are beginning to close the gap between things wanted and things received? That was a trick question. You've reached the place where you are satisfied with unfulfilled desires. In other words, your contrasting experience has helped you to identify that you are wanting things. And those things, some of them have not yet manifested. In fact, some of them you cannot even begin to see how they might manifest. Some of them are sort of far-fetched in terms of the relationship between where you are and what you want. And so our question, our very important question to you is, you are all right with that? Those unfulfilled desires are now a source of life-giving to you? Well, there will be a time when you will remember that that's how you really felt. And there will be a time that you will feel that way again, where your contrasting experience will have inspired within you an awareness of something that you want. And even though that manifestation has not yet come, you will not be upset about it. You will not be worried about it. You will not be fearful that it will not come, because you will understand that anything that you ask for is given. You will understand that when contrast inspires within you a desire, that the same environment which has provided the contrast which has inspired the desire has the resources to fulfill the desire. So there is never a case where you could ask for something and it could be out of your reach. There is never, ever anything that you identify as desire, big or small, far-reaching or up close, that you do not have the ability to receive. And the reason for that is because when you ask, it is always given. The reason for that, you may not really know this. You are here in these physical bodies, but you are extensions of source energy, not separate from source energy, not sent on a mission for source energy, not here to prove your worthiness to source energy. You are extensions of source energy. You are the physical manifestation of that which is source, and that which is source is at the heart of that which is you. When you are moving in the direction of those things that are being held for you in vibrational escrow that you are wanting, you can feel by the positive emotions that you are feeling that you are moving in the right direction. When you are moving toward those things that are being held for you in vibrational escrow that you don't want, you can tell by the way you feel as you are moving toward them that you are moving toward them. Everything that you think about, everything that you talk about, everything that you are doing on a day-to-day basis is contributing to that vibrational escrow. In other words, you are launching those rockets of desires. Those rockets of desires are moving from you into the ethers, and they are being acted on by all that is. In other words, the fairies of the universe, the non-physical energies, in conjunction with everything that you know of physical nature, is all working together in order to move toward that which you are creating. And the thing that we so much want you to remember is that more than 99% of every creation is complete before you see any physical evidence of it. So you are moving powerfully toward all kinds of things without being really aware that you are in terms of manifestation, because the manifestation doesn't show up until much of the energy has already been launched. So when you are understanding that the way you feel is your indicator of what it is you are moving toward, then you will no longer say, as so many people say, oh, it just came out of the blue. This thing I really did not want just landed on me out of the blue. And we say, hardly. It didn't just come out of the blue. You've been marching toward it, knowing by the way you feel that you are moving toward it, and you can never have a happy ending at the end of an unhappy journey. It just doesn't work out that way. In other words, the way you're feeling along the way is the way you're continuing to prepave your journey, and it's the way it's going to continue to turn out until you do something about the way you are feeling. So what we are encouraging you to do is to realize that you can tell by the way you feel what you are moving toward. it would be a good picture for you to realize that every subject is really two subjects. It's like opposite ends of the stick. And on one end of the stick is something you don't want, and on the other end of the stick is something you do want. In other words, wellness on one end, sickness on the other. It's the same subject, really, but really different ends of the stick. Plenty of money on one end, not nearly enough on the other. It's the same subject, but really different ends of the stick. And when you think about plenty of money, you feel one way. When you think about not nearly enough money, you feel the other way. And so consider that out there in your future experience is a big long stick. And that stick represents some subject of something you really want or something you really don't want. On one end of it is something you want. On the other end of it is something that you don't want. And you can tell by the way you feel, thought by thought, comment by comment, action by action, which way you're going. You can tell. So when you realize that you're standing where you're standing, and where you are is just fine. So when you realize that out there is this subject, and as you move this direction, you're moving toward what you don't want, and as you're moving this direction, you're moving towards something that you do want. And then you realize that in every moment you have options. In every moment, you are making a statement, thinking a thought, having a feeling, directing something about you. And the statement that you're making, in every case, is moving slightly in the direction of what you want or slightly in the direction of what you don't want. Yes? So we like to say it's like forking off. It's like forking off gently towards something that you don't want, or forking in the direction of something that you do want. And when you begin to realize the power of your now, you see, sometimes people will say, Abraham, it's so unsettling to me because I'm so far from things that I want in terms of manifestation. And we say, you really are not far in terms of time at all. You may be far in terms of your vibrational frequency. You may be offering vibrations that are in opposition to what you want, and your emotions are letting you know that you're doing that. But your distance that you must travel is not a distance through time and not a distance through space. It's the timing about how your manifestations come to you is about your vibrational alignment. It's about closing the gap in that vibrational relativity between where you are and where you want to be. You get to choose from right where you are the next step or the next thought or the next vibration. And that vibration that you choose through what you're pondering or commenting on, that vibration will be moving you closer toward what you are wanting or closer toward what you are not wanting. Because everything that you're doing in every moment is moving you. You cannot stand still. People sometimes say, oh, I'm just stuck. And we say that's not possible because things are always in motion. But as you continue to say similar things, even though things are changing, they're changing to the same thing over and over again. You have to begin to make different forking. You have to begin to make different choices. Your emotions follow a very broad range. On one end of the emotional scale are emotions that feel very good to you, emotions that you would describe as appreciation or love or joy, passion, enthusiasm. And on the other end of the emotional scale are emotions that don't feel so good. They feel like despair or fear or feelings of disempowerment, feelings of powerful discouragement. On the end of the scale that feels pretty good to you is your perception of freedom, your perception of your own power, your perception of your own power, which is who you really are and what source really knows you to be. On the other end of the emotional scale, where the emotions don't feel so good, is your perception of not freedom. And we use the word perception because it really is perceptual. You are so free you can choose bondage if you want to. You truly are free because no one can offer a vibration for you. They can influence your vibration. They can behave in ways that as you observe, you are affected. But ultimately, you are the one who is the keeper of your vibration. And when you understand that, then you can do something about beginning to close the vibrational gap between where you are and where you want to be. As you are closing that vibrational gap, on one end of the scale, you may be frustrated, you may be angry, you may be depressed, you may be in true despair about something, you may have strong fear about something. But if you are in any of those vibrations and someone is encouraging you to cheer up or to follow your bliss or to find something to appreciate, or they tell you that you're the creator of your own reality, you need to cheer up, you've got to want to say that can't be true or you'd be gone, because Nothing is more disconcerting than to be in a vibration that feels awful, where the life is being sucked out of you, and have some bright-eyed, bushy-tailed person trying to coax you back into your alignment. Because in the same way that you cannot set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7 FM, the frequencies don't match up when you are depressed or when you are discouraged with thoughts or feelings or memories or incidences that match that different frequency that matches appreciation. In other words, when you are depressed, you don't have access to appreciation. You just don't. And what we're wanting you to understand is that while when you're depressed, you don't have access to thoughts of appreciation, when you're depressed, you have access to thoughts of anger. Ah, the life-giving breath of fresh air that revenge brings. And what we want you to hear in terms of what we're talking about here today is that when you reach from your place of desperation or from your place of despair, when you reach for a thought of revenge, from our point of view, you are forking in the right direction. As you fork that far and you find that feeling of revenge, you may not be able to tell from where you are now, because you're far from that feeling of revenge. And the idea of revenge for you feels like going in the wrong direction. But if you've ever been truly depressed and you got mad, didn't you feel the relief that your anger brought you? And the reason you felt relief in anger is because there is less resistance in anger than there is in depression or despair or fear. So, resistance of what? Resistance of your alignment with your true signal. And your true signal is source energy. Your true signal is the pure positive energy that is your source. Your true signal is elation. Your true signal is appreciation. Your true signal is love. Your true signal is worthiness. Your true signal is knowing your value. Your true signal is recognizing the value in others. Your true signal is tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Your true signal is alignment with source. Your true signal is vibrationally standing here in your leading edge place, finding thoughts that allow a pure connection between you and you. And when you allow that pure connection, you thrive. Abundance of all manner that pleases you flows easily to you. You find clarity. You find stability. You find vitality. You find ability to reason. You find solutions to questions and problems before you've even become too utterly aware of the problem. Imagine that. Contrast sends a rocket of desire into your experience, and the desire is answered before the question is ever really fully manifested into your experience. Do you know that if you can get in sync with who you really are, that you can launch the solutions to your problems so quickly on the heels of your identification of your problem that the solution and the problem will manifest in the same moment, and you will not even be aware that there was ever a problem? That's how good you get when you get into sync with who you are. You are vibrational creators. You are leading edge energy beings. You are source energies in physical bodies, and you are extensions of pure positive energy. And the better you feel, the more you are allowing that alignment in any moment, and the worse you feel, the more you are not allowing it. You are the creator of your own experience, and it is playing out exactly as you are offering it vibrationally. So it does not matter where you are, because where you are will bring a solution. In other words, where you are will always evolve into something that is even better than where you are. Because where you are is full of data that causes preferences to be born, and as the preferences are born, source adheres to the preference, and one point of vibrational relativity becomes a fact in your vibrational countenance right now. The only other question is, where are you in relationship with that? And that's why we call this gathering the art of allowing, because it is the art of allowing myself over here in this vibrational countenance to come into vibrational alignment with who I really am, to be the receiver of what my exposure to this experience has caused me to contribute to this experience. Do you know that you in your generation are now benefiting by contrasts that past generations lived and desires that they launched into vibrational futures? And do you know that you are today launching rockets of desires that future generations will benefit from? And do you know that that's not why we're here talking with you? That the reason that we're here talking with you is that we believe that it is time for you to become the beneficiaries of your own romp through contrast. We think it's time for you to give birth to your desires that are pertinent to your experience, and that you be the full-blown manifestors of the desires that you have given birth to. Because we know you create your own reality. We see you offering your vibrations. We see heaven and earth parting in order to accommodate whatever it is that you're offering vibrationally.